Hi, Eric Shaw again, presenting Dude, Don't Steal My Droid. This is the more in-depth presentation, so I'm going to talk, past what we already talked about to some degree. I had alluded to the fact that you would, status a phone is stolen with an application on your PC that would interact with the cloud server. So I'm going to go ahead and show that. I looked at a lot of different things, and the application I found, well, the cloud storage I liked the best was the Amazon AWS one, or S3s in particular. So one interesting thing I found was that basically Amazon being one of the first to the market, or the first major player in the market, everybody basically followed suit. So Eucalyptus is their storage solution. Walrus is compatible with the RESTful API that's provided by S3 and Dunkel Cloud Storage in Germany. Google is actually following it. Google Storage is using the same RESTful API. So that was pretty neat that's the case. So that's what I was shooting for. That's why I picked S3 basically. Cloudberry Explorer is the app that runs on your PC. And here's the status file I talked about. So right now, we'll go ahead and pull that down locally. Let's say my phone just got stolen. Here's what I do in my system. I'd pull that down. Well, I wouldn't pull it down. I would go ahead and modify a local copy. You can see the status in here is everything is great. Well, now it's not. We're stolen. So that's what I was talking about. You'd status it that way. This is my local copy. I'm going to go ahead and put that up. The phone would be polling for this. So it'd be looking at that file, seeing the contents, everything would be legit. It would think everything's fine. Well, after it was stolen, it would see that, and that would put it in stolen mode. Where now it's going to start reporting its GPS location. Now, one of the difficulties, there were two major difficulties I had that made this project take way longer, or basically cut features. The first one was getting the GPS from that lower level. As I said, there was synergy with the rootkit that was presented at DEF CON in July, but they've changed the stack, maybe perhaps because of that paper, but I could not. The SMD27 device, they just catted it to read it. Well, they had to figure out the name. They didn't really tell you in the paper how they did that. But they hooked with kernel modules this open, close, sysread and syswrite calls, and so they saw the GPS data getting written. I did that as well. I just recompiled my kernel to make it happen, but I could not for the life of me figure out the device name. I tried all kinds of things to try to figure out that device name. So I ended up just leaving read hooked, and the message is $GPG is what it always starts off with when it's for the GPS device. So I just keyed off of that, saved my data to a buffer, and then used the syscall a la MP1 to have the user mode application, not an Android app, but basically a Linux service almost, pull that data in to get that GPS data. So then the second major thing, the second major problem was I found another command line style Linux application, kind of like Cloudberry Explorer, but I could not get it to compile for the Android flavor of Linux. It was lacking libcurl, and that's what prevented this from being an end-to-end system, that I couldn't get that going. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and show you this from the command line. This is not the phone's shell, but it kind of demonstrates the capability. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the status file from cloud storage. This is what the phone would do automatically behind the scenes to figure out what its status was. So let's see here, file name. Full status. Text. Alright, so I'm using the libs3 application command line to actually get that status file. Again, this is what the phone would be doing automatically from its service when it was in the store. No, it would be doing this all the time. This is just to get the status, but if it... So, let's see, I'll go ahead and open that file, and we should see the stolen string in there. Yes, stolen. I don't know if you can see that on the thing, but that is what we put up from the Windows Cloudberry Explorer, and then we just pulled it down on Linux. So again, the phone would be automatically pulling that, and when it hit that stolen state, then it would start pulling GPS. We'll go ahead and, well, we actually, in the last part, I haven't done anything. We already populated the GPS, and you can see it printed out right here. It also saved that information to a file, so I'll go ahead and pull that down. I wish there was tab completion in this thing. Alright, so it saved that output to output.txt since I couldn't directly send it from the phone emulator over cloud storage. Again, that was because I couldn't get libcurl on the this build of Linux, the Android build of Linux. So you can see there's our two. The output.txt file has our two entries that we made with populating the GPS device. Alright, so we just looked at still in the emulator at that output.txt file that had those GPS coordinates saved. Now I'm going to, back at the regular Linux prompt where my S3 application is that I couldn't get to run on the Android Linux. I'm going to go ahead and pull that data file back. This is just a manual step that simulates that this data would be streamed off the phone, not being saved to a file, just directly to cloud storage in the real setup. Alright, so we're going to use the ADB pull command to get that data file off. I'm moving in this directory where S3 is at. And let's see here. Now I'm going to use the put command. And again, it actually RESTful API. It is an HTTP put. Actually, I think it's using HTTPS in this case. But we're going to call this one, well, I guess we'll just call it output.txt. Why not? So now this will be alongside our status file in our bucket, which is synonymous with the directory up on Amazon. Alright, it succeeded. So again, this would all be transparently and automatically happening on the phone in the real end system if it everything had come together perfectly when it's ready for production, or whatever you want, however you want to put it. Okay, so now here's our bucket. I haven't refreshed, so it only shows status in there. This is again simulating the PC. So now that I refresh, output.txt is there. So we can pull that down to our computer. And we can just open it directly from Cloudberry here, and there it is. It's in Unix format. I don't know if you can't read that, I'm sure, on this, unfortunately, but current GPS location, lat 65.127, launch 65.777. That was the first entry. If I remember commenting about 65 being used twice, and that put my real location in. Lat 39.289 and launch 84.34. So we'll go ahead and try to put that in real quick. I'll pause this. All right, so I've entered those coordinates into Google Maps, which is where I got my location from originally, but it's now been round tripped. So we'll go ahead and roll it in here. And this push pin is actually moved just down the street. There's actually some rounding that happens in that GPS thing. It even happens on the emulator. Maybe it is just on the emulator that it happens, but anyway, the rounding errors. I wasn't sure when I first had seen this what the what the end result was going to be, because I was like, wow, this could be way off, and it kind of freaked me out that I thought this project wasn't going to work out. But it turns out that a 100th decimal place is basically half a block away if there's an error there. So this is kind of ideally what the third part of the solution was supposed, would have been if I would have had time. If you, going back to the, oops, that wasn't it. Going back to it, I said that you could have an extra phone that would help to track, because that has a GPS. So that's when you're in the field, you know where it's at. You've made your play to go get it, and you have a proximity detection app and remote Google Android app like that is telling you in real time where that other phone is, and you can track it down. That's kind of what I envisioned. And let's see if I can find this web page that showed the app I was going to try to base it off of. Go ahead and pause that for a second. So here's what I was talking about, this Download My Tracks app.